AA, see you in church. Hi, Emmanuel. And it's story time. It's story time. Well, I had two stories. They were both really good stories. And I wasn't too sure which one to tell you guys. As you can see, I'm wearing my cat taco shirt. Yeah, P, you know my cat would want to dress up for Halloween. Yeah, I don't have a cat. And I don't know. I don't know if I want pets anymore. I used to want children. That changed. Not because my family had children. That's why I wanted children. But then everything sort of changed. I got older, and a lot of people says you don't got the patience to take care of children. I have the patience. I just don't have the desire to tolerate. That's my problem. But this storyline, one of the girls, ladies, where we lived there for quite a while, practically all my life. And my mom knew the same group of women. She moved from her location to there, and where she lived, her friend moved from where she was at to that location. So they would all go and sit together and talk and talk. And everybody who wanted to be, which I use this word a lot, in the inner circle would, you know, come sit down and they would talk, and then they would find, well, why were we worried about not being accepted into this inner circle? And I found that same thing what's going on when I was. From what people say is that it's scary, but the way I see it, people don't know how to have conversation anymore. Nobody sits down and they don't talk and they don't share. They don't do that anymore. Everybody's there on their phone. Click 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 click. And the person right across from you, excuse me. But anyway, I do digress. Anyway, so we got a new person into the inner circle, and it took them quite a while to join into the conversation. And I'm not talking about that day, I'm talking about quite a while. So she one day, I guess, trust that her new sisters weren't going to throw stones or anything like that. So she started to talk. She said that where she lived, her family would drive about an hour to get to their little shop that they had in the circle. They would open every days except for weekends, which most people got together in the weekend. But because of their churchly beliefs about the Lord and how they prayed and everything, they took off Saturday and Sunday for their Lord. And so she said, there they go in the wagon, and she would start setting up on the wagon. And they would have everything already in display in the back of the wagon. They would get to the open market. They got to their booth. They start pile on things, putting it out, and start selling. And, you know, she was young. She'd been there, but she kept hearing these stories that were unusual and, she said, exciting to her. And I said, why are they exciting? She goes, well, she goes, the stories were different. She said there was a place you go, and if you wanted somebody harmed, you had to take a gift that would show how much you needed this or whatever. And she was, sneaking around and listening. She goes, Papa, can I go to lunch? And he says, well, lunch is a little later. And she would tell him, well, this little later, I'm hungry now. And that way, when everybody else went, I could stay and continue to sell, pulling his leg. So she went over and she went behind the bleachers. Well, it's not like bleachers. She said they were like benches, but it looked like semi bleachers. They would like 1, 2, 3 steps. And she went and sat down with her sandwich. She knew all the old ladies were there. And they would start to spin their tails. But she had to watch because she knew when she said the name of the person was Hazel. And it used to make me think of that TV show that I used to watch. Would show up over near the water pump. It was her time to return. So she sat down, the old lady started talking. And one old lady said, and she named one of the ladies there. She went with an offering. And another old lady says, well, what would she need to go with an offering for? The way she looks. She goes, well, I guess she could ask for that. Well, they weren't that lady. She goes, she found out that the neighborhood hunk had been playing games. He'd been walking around and boasting and telling her how he liked her and all that kind of stuff. Well, she believed it. That's her fault. And then he dumped her for another person. Well, that other person knew they were together, and she wanted to punish her and him. So she went on up into the woods to the temple. They said, but they're not all there. Not anymore. They haven't been like that since you were a girl. She goes, I know. But she went. She goes, the white witch is there. And the red witch is there. But the Black Witch, she's also there. The Blue or Brown Witch. I always saw that witch in blue, so I always called her the Blue Witch, but everybody called her the Brown Witch. You know, she betrayed them and they killed her. So someone goes up there and sees if they could take her position. It's up to them, to try. But I don't know anybody that even got an inkling of power to go do that. Well, all the ladies were like, well, we've gone down that road, and what's the new road? They said, well, she went on up there, and she went to the Black Witch, and she took her the offering to get even with those two. Well, she said it took her at least 8 hours of waiting and sitting for the Black Witch to come. First, the White Witch showed up and she told her, I don't have nothing ailing me, please. I'm here for the Black Witch. She goes, we can see that, but do you really want to see her? She goes, yes, I do. So she walked away, and then here came a little later the Red Witch. And she says, I may be able to help you. She goes, yeah, you may, but I want for sure. So that's why I have what I have. And she looked at her. And she says, oh, okay, that's why you're wearing that bonnet, aren't you? And she goes, don't you worry about it. This has nothing to do with you. So she, okay, you had your chance. And she went away. Well, they were waiting for the third sisters. From what they understood, they were 4 sisters, and one sister was all about herself and got herself killed by the other 3 witches. But she found out that that third witch was not no regular witch. The poof of smoke appeared, and she was there waiting, all scared. She stepped back and she stepped in the center. And the Black Witch showed up. And he said, you saw I didn't want to come out, didn't you? And she goes, yeah, I waited 4 hours. And he was unhappy. Okay, tell me your business, and tell me quickly, because I have things I want to do. She goes, well, I brought you something. He said, did you hear me ask you for something? No. Well, if I ask you for something, you bring that. This right here, I'm not interested in. But you hadn't looked. The box is covered. I looked. And if I want some cornbread, I'll make it myself. My recipe's far better than yours. And that jam, it looks like it's tasty. But it's not yours. I bought it. Then it's mine. Yeah, sure. If you say so. But see, if you bring other people's stuff, they may get the wish, not you. So you bring what you made or what I asked for. But go ahead, tell me what you're going to tell me, and I'll tell you if I'll do it. So she told her story and she told her spin. And he rolled his eyes backwards and he said, "Okay." He said to her, "But you want to know the true story?" She goes, "What true story?" "Of what happened. Or do you just want me to do what you want me to do?" "Well, if there's a true story, then tell me that, sir." "Okay." This is the real spin on that story. You were flirting with him. I saw it. And he got a lingering on maybe he could get some. And he don't want you. He don't want anything to do with anything you got. He wants your money. But you didn't give him any of your money, did you? No. I know you didn't. And that's why he moved on. That had nothing to do with that girl. That girl's just a piece of twat trash. You know that? I know that. Just trash, trash, trash. So now that you know what you know, what would you like me to do? Or do you want to just walk away? Well, she goes over and she says, "Okay, if I wanted you to do something, what would you do?" He says, "Well, you got to tell me and I'll do it." But, there's a big price. Or you can go to one of these other ladies over here and have her help you. Because from what I'm getting from you, you don't need my help. Because if I start, you're not going to be able to stop me. So you think about it. So she goes over and she says, "Well, I don't feel the same way." He goes, "I know, because now you know the truth." "So could you send the other lady?" "Which one?" "The red." "Okay. She'll come straight out. She ain't gonna make you wait." So he pulls back. He pulls back into his. And the lady in red shows up and she goes, "Now, how can I help you?" She goes, "Well, I don't know if you're gonna want what I have to offer." He didn't. And she goes, "Well, you're being honest with me, and an honest person deserves assistance." "Okay." "Well, he tells me I've been played as a fool. And I just want to treat somebody the way they treated me." "So you want to go and have them think you're this?" "No, no, no. What I want you to do is I want you to help him fall in love with her." So it's a love potion, but not for you. It's for her. "Okay, I can do that. Because nobody's going to get hurt. They're just going to fall in love. And I can take all those gifts you brought to him as payment." "But you still need one thing. And what's that?" you need a piece of one of her dresses. And she goes, I have it. No, you don't. She pulls out a little piece of fabric. Here it is. Sweetheart, that's not her dress. Well, then whose dress is that? That's the lady next door's from yours. She borrowed it and she went over. She wanted to get her fancy with that guy. She don't have that kind of clothing, you know that. But you were too set on that man to get what was going on. So then she went down to the and found her scarf, brought it back to her, and handed it to her. And she goes, okay, I'll just take a string. And here you go. You go over to where she lives. You throw the bottle in the corner of her house, then walk away. Don't think about it again. 'Cause that's no more your business. We've taken care of it. Don't feel sorry, don't feel nothing, just move on with your life. So she did. Well, there comes Hazel. She goes, oh, I should go back to my family, but I want to hear the rest of this story. And she hears the old ladies, they're talking, well, what happened? And they said, I don't know, we gotta watch. She did it yesterday. Let's see if they fall in love with each other. Because they know that's going to be a joke because he thinks he's the most handsomest guy in town. And he's always flirting with every single woman. Doesn't matter how old they are. So, she returned to her booth and her family went to go eat. He came in. There comes that guy, all flirting with everybody and whatever. And here comes that person. And she walks past him and he just like, nobody else was around. He just went straight over to her and was there flirting and hopping and hollering and saying how much she was beautiful and everything. Well, she turned around and she had a big old cold sore right there in her lip. So I was like, ew. And I was like, myself, I was like, that is so gross. But he was there saying how beautiful she was and how the sun was jealous of her. You know, those lovely songs. Well, they weren't for him. Walked away and just they disappeared, and she knew that worked. That spell worked. And they were together. She says when she left her home years ago, they were still together. She said that spell worked, whatever she got. But I don't know how those old ladies knew all that. But they said it and it came true. I sort of thought maybe they were the witches had come down and they came to talk and share. But I don't know. We'll have to see. She goes, but what scared me was when they talked about the man in black that came instead of the woman. What would he have done? She goes, I keep thinking, and the horrible things that happen, is he the one that did them or not? She would tell everybody, and she goes, but that's another story. And we'll talk about that the next time. It's time me to return to my house. And she picked up her stuff, and there she went. All slow she could get across that alley. And I used to tell my mom, do you think those are real people? She goes, I don't know. She goes, I've heard of stuff like that when I was little, but I don't know. But it seems sort of scary to see people that had actually that kind of power. Do you think there are those people like that? I don't know. But don't forget to subscribe to my channel, put the little hand up, and leave me a message. Tell me if you've heard stories like that of the Witches 3. Because that's, to me, that's interesting. I didn't expect that. I thought it was going to be another woman and it showed up as a man. But I've heard the one that was there 2 men and 2 women. And one was killed, but that's a different story altogether. And I don't know. That was a wicked story. But anyway, if you have a subject you'd like to talk to about, leave it right there and I'll read. But I guess so far everybody's liked it because nobody's leaving any remarks or whatever, which everybody else says that people are being, well, you guys are being great. So don't forget to leave a message. And AA, see you in church.